live, it seems. Assalamu alaikum. Very good morning, good day to all of you who are currently tuning in right now, wherever you are. And you are tuning in to the Women Leaders Virtual Forum hosted by Christie Associates, where today we will be discussing working moms in leadership. And I hope all of you who are tuning in right now are in good spirits and good health, surrounded by your loved ones wherever you are. My name is Azureen Alia, and I am a professional in the energy sector, but I am very honored to be moderating today's virtual forum. And we are right now streaming live to you from Zoom platform, but also streaming live through Facebook Live feature remotely from our respective locations. So, ladies and gentlemen, this forum is held in conjunction with the International Women's Day yesterday, 8th of March, and also in line with Christie Associates' mission to support the growth and leadership development for working women. And the purpose of this initiative is to offer valuable learnings and insights, especially to women leaders and working mothers who strive for career excellence while maintaining a healthy work-life balance. So again, today is also an avenue for us to celebrate the International Women's Day yesterday and also the Women's Month. And today, together with me, I have an esteemed lineup of panelists who will share insights of how working mothers thrive as a leader in the corporate world. So we will be discussing what the challenges that they've faced so far to get to where they are, what the challenges that the greater community of working mothers face, and how do we as a group, as a community, or individually overcome these challenges and also draw from their personal experiences. So again, with me today, I have a lineup of panelists that are the very embodiment of the women that I've mentioned. So each of them is a leader in their respective fields, and they have raised children, built families successfully as well. And I am glad to be hearing from them today, and I hope that all of you are tuning in and are looking forward to that too. So let's welcome our first panelist for today, a lady named Lee Chu Lo, who is an executive coach and also a director and partner at Christie Associates, who's organizing this forum. She works with executive women who want to enhance their managerial skills as a corporate leader by tapping into their inner strengths. So Lee Chu also creates individual coaching programs that emphasize on the importance of integration through the application of various methodologies and modalities such as integral coaching, neuroscience, Qigong, yoga, and Aikido. That's quite a list, but I hope she will share more on that later as well. So Lee Chu is a certified PCC integral coach, certified vocational training officer, and also a certified SKM3 Qigong therapist. She believes in the value of somatic work, transforming leadership excellence through the wisdom of the body. So let's all welcome Lee Chu. We are very glad to have you on the panel. All right, next on our list, we have Marianne Dupuis, a leadership coach working with leaders to get things done with humanity while leveraging on inclusion and diversity to foster collaboration. So her career has spanned all the way from corporate environments in PricewaterhouseCoopers to the Central Bank of Luxembourg, where we could count female leaders in one hand. Is an issue that probably needs significant improvement. She managed to raise 4 beautiful children while leading multicultural teams and sensitive projects in these very demanding environments where stakeholders will not usually foster or encourage preferential treatments for women. And she was relieved that, in contrast, women in Malaysia can rely more on domestic help and extended family support, and where the education system weighs heavily on female mindsets. Welcome, Marianne. We can't wait to hear from you. Our next panelist is Melissa Lokman, lady in pink. She is a general manager for organizational development in Group Human Resources for Sapura Energy Berhad, and she has been in the role since 2019. She joined Sapura Energy in 2015 to support the group CEO on strategy matters during the oil price downturn in that year. And she worked with the leadership team to expand the business beyond the region to enable its sustainability and survival. Prior to Sapura Energy, Melissa worked with BCG, Boston Consulting Group, specializing in heavy industries, finance, and government. She started her career as a derivatives trader with Credit Suisse in London. And she graduated from the prestigious Cambridge University with a master's in engineering. And she proclaims she is a robotics nerd by nature. Maybe her children appreciates that. Now she is a mother of two and spends her free time on yoga. So maybe Lee Chu and Melissa can do yoga together one of these weekends. So welcome to the panel, Melissa. I'm looking forward to hearing you. Last but certainly not least, our final panelist is Norbashi Natun Salmi. We're going to call her Noor during this forum. She's a technical manager in Petronas. She is responsible for a Peninsula Malaysia cluster in the petroleum engineering division. So I'm guessing she's a reservoir engineer by training. She is raising 4 children while leading a team of multinationals in a highly specialized oil and gas environment, which requires her and her team to be at site of oil and gas fields offshore, where the environment could be slightly inconvenient to women. But she believes that a hybrid mix of her talents and skills is the key enabler in getting the right balance that the team requires to achieve superior results. We are glad to have you, Noor. So let's all welcome these amazing star-studded female panelists today to be talking about working moms in leadership. So as a context setting, before we get into the forum, ladies and gentlemen, the phenomena of working mothers is certainly not new. So working mothers make up over 30% of the global female labor force, which is now almost 50% of the overall labor market. And these numbers are more significant in developed countries. So this is a 50% increase in the working mother population since the 1970s, which is half a century ago. So within these statistics, women are also increasingly filling up the leadership roles, all while juggling the role of nurturing children as well as family life. So what are the challenges that these women face? And from these experiences of these women that I have with me in this panel, we shall talk more about how do we overcome this and what does it look like in the future in terms of societal support and also corporate environmental support. So we will begin the forum by hearing a short opening statement from each of them. We'll begin with Lee Chu, followed by Marianne, Melissa, and finally Noor before we get into the questions. So I would be honored to pass the floor now to Lee Chu. Please be invited.
I've just been told I think I was muted. Good morning. Thank you, Azrin, for such a great welcome. It's really an honor for me to be here this morning, to be able to be in the space of, women that truly I find very inspiring. Yeah, I am a mother of 2. My kids are grown up now. They're actually young adults. I still call them children, as I was sharing earlier. My daughter still say, Mom, we are all adults and you're still calling us children. I say, until the day I go, you will always be children to me. I worry when you're young, I worry when you're adults, I'll probably worry when you're mothers yourself. And that's what mothers do. It's a 24/7 non-ending occupation. I started Christie Associates about 14 years ago, and what got me really passionate about this is I find that sometimes when we face challenges, who do we reach out to? How do we build a network of support? My life has got a lot of ups and downs. And for me, from my experience, I find my biggest source of support is really my family. I come from a family of very strong women. And if I could start, I would say it actually started from my grandmothers, my maternal and paternal grandmothers. I call my paternal grandmother Empress Dowager. She's a very strong lady, but both my grandmothers, what is really inspiring for me, and I think if I look back, they have actually influenced at least 2-3 generations of us. Not only are they strong, but they are very compassionate women. They're very compassionate, and to me, they are very elegant, and they produce a string of women leaders. I like to think my sisters, to be very strong, compassionate women. I find that in my most darkest time and when I was most challenged, the biggest pillar of strength for me was really my family, my siblings, my sisters. And it starts also from my mom. My mom is my biggest inspiration as a woman leader. She didn't complete standard 6, and yet my mom was able to manage a factory of 100 over workers. And as a young child, I was very lucky to be able to observe and learn from her how she's able to lead this group of 100 over workers, and in a male-dominated industry. She's only in standard 6, was in standard 6, and yet she's able to learn about engineering, timber, sawmills, and I watch how she managed her relationships with the clients who are male-dominated. If you think about in the 60s, I call them the Chinaman Tauke, what they are like. And my mom is always able to work with them and be able to get them aligned to what she wants, and be able to get them to be aligned with what needed to be done. And she's always very inspiring for me. So to me, and closer to me, my sisters. When I was really down, they were there for me through thick and thin. And my pillar of strength are them, my brothers, and my 2 children. My 2 children are my beacon and my compass. Whenever I'm at a crossroad, I ask myself, if my children were at this crossroad, what would I say to them? If whatever that I wanted to say to them, I would say to myself, then I know I'm on the right track. And if there was something that I'm not sure about, if I got swayed, I ask myself, if I was challenged by my children, would I be able to stand up and answer them with great honesty that whatever I've done was within integrity? If the answer was yes, with accountability, I know I'm on the right track. If the answer is no, I said, Li Chu, back off. If you can't look into your children in the eyes and be able to sustain and your decision, that's not for you. So they are all my inspiration, and that's my journey from my family to my children.
Yeah, it seems that. Thank you so much for your sharing, Li Chu. It seems that they're guiding you instead of you guiding them, and it's this. Of course, it's a symbiotic relationship, but isn't it beautiful that you can have both?
Yes, I'm blessed. I'm blessed.
Thank you so much, Li Chu. We'll talk more about that later. So I would like to invite Melissa to share a brief opening statement on the topic.
Thanks, Azarine. Thanks for the very warm welcome at the start. It really pumps you up. Now, I think for me, when I took a moment, kind of just mentally preparing to on what to say, one thing resonated for me, and this point around what makes a leader, right? How do you define a leader? And if you keep it to the basics, a leader is someone who provides direction. A leader is someone who makes tough decisions. And in that context, if you really think about it, whether you work, whether you are a full-time mom, all moms are leaders in that context. So very similar to what Li Chu is propagating. I think all women and all mothers, if anything, are actually leaders by default. And actually what's interesting is then what makes us different is really the style of leadership, right? So like how, if we take a moment and look at the global leaders today, they all have different styles. Us mothers too have different styles. So you could be the Li Chu style of a very inclusive, collaborative mother, a leader, or you could choose to be, a slightly more autocratic, unpopular dictator, which is more akin to my style sometimes. But fundamentally, I think we differ in terms of our leadership style. So really what I'm saying is all mothers are leaders by default. and that actually motherhood and leadership is so intertwined in many ways that we don't even think about. But then I guess the question that that's being addressed in this forum is that if motherhood and leadership is so intertwined, why is it that we hear so much of the struggles? So, as I was thinking more and more, I realized the struggles are actually interesting because the struggles actually tell you that mothers as leaders struggle with kind of the complexity of the modern day, I would like to call it the modern day construct. So the modern day construct could be external. That's, the societal expectations of what a role of a mother is in today's day and age. But it is also a personal expectations of what you see yourself, how you see yourself as a mother, as a leader of your family. And I think that balancing that, two domains of meeting societal expectations, work expectations, and as well as your personal expectations, I think that's where I find myself struggle most. And I think that the sweet spot in this discussion hopefully is to kind of anticipate these constructs, to know that it's actually common to all of us. How we see them is different, but fundamentally they are common. And actually what's interesting is how we react to those complexities actually define our leadership style. So in a way, the constructs, for better or for worse, is there, but how do we actually make it work for you to bring out the best leader in you, the best mother in you? So yeah, I think that's how I see it today.
Thank you, Melissa. I like how you pointed out how these are surely intertwined without us even realizing it. Sometimes we, our motherhood style is manifested in how we lead our teams at work or how we carry out our work, and then they get the best out of each scenario. But we'll talk more about that. And I also was very interested in hearing how the struggle is actually between the external and personal dilemma, or whether you're doing it the right way or not, or how much you want to fit into this external mold that has been there. So that is where the struggle truly lies. I believe I agree with you on that. So thank you, Melissa, for sharing your opening statement. Thank you, Melissa. We'll move on to Marianne. Please do share with us your thoughts, your initial thoughts on the topic.
Thank you so much for welcoming us here, and I'm glad to be with all these brilliant women around here. I would definitely I feel so much connection between all what you have said. I was also grown up with from a dynasty of women leaders, in a sense, and all of them had rather large families, and had to lead them. There was no other issue, no other way than to actually manage the family and the work, but it has varied over time. So, and I was raised with 3 sisters. So discrimination for women for me was such a nonsense. When I entered the finance world and I discovered that I was actually a woman, I should have a different status, I was like, what are you talking about? I mean, it's so irrelevant for me. And so I think the challenge that women are facing as well is that there are few role models that are inspiring, and we need to create them, and we need to sometimes combine them together to find our own style. There is also that tendency to embark on fixed roles. Just like I remember I was in a meeting, and there were, I was the only woman, about 20 people in the room, and I was probably almost 20 years younger than most of them. And so one person, when they wanted to start the meeting, told me, "Oh, Marianne, can you serve the tea and coffee?" And I was like, why should that be me? I mean, okay, I'm a woman. But the thing is, we need to find elegant ways not for this person to lose face. And obviously, I'm absolutely sure that it was more of a convention that really an intention to spot me in this role where I would be fixed. And so I tell them, yeah, why not? We're about to start the meeting. Why not having the tray in the middle and everyone helps themselves so that we can start and finish on time? And everyone adopted it. I didn't even have to put the tray. And for the next 10 years, I never, ever was asked to pour tea for anybody. So it's also how we set the benchmark. It's also when we dare challenging it, where it makes no sense and people are actually not conscious about it because they're just reproducing what they've seen before. And if we are not taking the ownership to change that, it will just keep going on. And it's I think when we have the privilege to be in this situation where we manage to find a way, it also gives us a duty to share, because we're not the only woman who've been asked to pour tea or to take notes or to be the one who takes minutes. You know, there's nothing that forces us to go into that. And the other one is probably embracing all the aspects that are making a working woman, a working mom so powerful. You know, in terms of project management, there's not much you need to teach to a woman who has a large family. Many of the things that they already master and pretty well. They have a lot of practice. They know what is a backup solution, definitely. They know what time management is. They know what is flexibility at the last minute. And another way could be as well on emotional intelligence. I just remember one meeting where I was with someone I was with one colleague and one other was just shouting and shouting and shouting. I just waited, and when he was calmed down, I asked him and I got what I wanted. So we ended the session, the meeting, and my colleague asked me, how did you manage to stay so calm? And I was like, you know, yesterday, my little 3-year-old boy threw me a tantrum. That was just awful. And that guy, he was just acting exactly the same. So I just was thinking in myself, hey, sweetie, why don't you go into your room and we wait until you come so that we can have a chat together. So that helped me to really wait and be patient until we could share together. So I think it's really about nurturing the skills that we have in one area that are so precious and giving it ample place to be seen as assets for us women.
True, true. Rightfully so. I think that was also put as an example by Melissa, where, you know, like you said, your 3-year-old tantrum, how you manage that, you can definitely replicate that skill at the workplace and manage to stay calm. I mean, it's also interesting, like what you said, Marianne, together with Li Chu. I mean, it's you come from a dynasty of strong women, and the discrimination of women to you is rather foreign. Like, you were surrounded by strong women all your lives, so where is this discrimination coming from? Just by biological design. So that's something that's a deep topic that we're not going to cover today. But today we're going to focus more about how the working environment and how corporate environments can help us to thrive as leaders in organizations. All right, thank you so much, Marianne, for your sharing. And I love the way how you worded it, elegant ways. See, that's the kind of approach that we women have to take to manage this marginalization or preferential treatment. We manage it elegantly, and that's the way women have been knowing how to do it ever since we entered the workforce. So thank you, Marianne. Last but not least, let's hear from Nora on her experiences and her take on women in leadership.
Thank you, Azurine. Can I just check if my voice clear? All right, good. Thanks. And thank you so much again to Christie Associates for this opportunity that I can join with all of you together to participate and also share my personal experience in being a working mom, at the same time being a leader to a group of people in the organization. So maybe I can bring the discussion from the context of how I deal at work, from the perspective of being a very technical team, Yeah. If I can share the nature of my work, always deal with multinational people that come from various experience level, from a very young age of engineers to a very, very highly skilled expatriates. Yeah, and there are no one way of dealing with them or managing my subordinates back there in the office. Yeah. And then the most challenging thing I think that I have experienced is how to manage my women talents to cope with these challenges, especially when it um, requires them to go to the site where we have to deal with the real man's world in the offshore oil and gas platform, for example. And believe me or not, I was there in that position or situation back then, maybe 10, 15 years back, that myself as an engineer have to go there, climb the tall ladders, steps in the platform in the hot sun without the proper facilities to treat us as a woman. There is no specific toilet for us, for example, as easy as that. There is no specific room for us to sleep in for the night. Yeah, imagine that basic needs that a woman requires. Yeah, a routine or a basic needs. And just imagine if that woman is a new mother, what kind of support that she really needs as a new mother, having a new baby, or she's still maybe breastfeeding. So this kind of situation actually is very tough. I've experienced it myself, and I learned very hard way. And that's why today, as I stand, I would like to really motivate my women talent. Don't give up. But what I have to show to them is leading them by example that we can do it. Um, just adding to this, I'm very proud also to share with everyone that my family is actually one of the biggest support that I have that make me feel stronger and stronger as time goes. And I'm proud to say that the organization that I'm working with today is the biggest, I think the one of the company that really supports women talent, women workforce that it has. So now I can see a lot improvement my company has made to provide facilities that minimize, if not removing the barriers that can bring in these talents to work at par with the other males workforce. So I can see this improvement, yeah, in front of my eyes compared to how it started last time. So to me, as a working mother, don't give up. And as a women leader, I'm setting example to them how to cope with these challenges. Yeah. So the children that I have at home is also another set of learning for myself. Yeah, because always I'm learning new things from them. Never a simple problem to be solved. They always bring me a new insights. And the later edition that I have, an 8 months baby boy, have totally give me new experience, like being a new mom again after for so long that I have not have a new baby. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to share more actually within this discussion, and looking forward for more insights and sharing from the other panelists. Thank you, Azurin.
Thank you, Noor, for your sharing. And as a representative of female engineers and technical leaders um, in the sector. So thank you so much to all of you again for your opening statements. I think I would like to start with asking both Lee Chu and Marianne, because I'm assuming your children are slightly older than Melissa's and Noor's. And you've entered the workforce earlier than all of us, maybe when these awareness on making sure that the facilities and the support for working mothers are there. So my question is, and Lee Chu can answer first, or Marianne, what are the key improvements in the corporate environment that you have seen that has helped you to furnish both your mother role, your maternal role, and your corporate role equally well? So maybe Li Chu, you can share your experience first.
Well, actually wanted to start saying that for me, the first time I thought I saw a fantastic support for women was in Singapore. I was working for this company that has a base in Singapore and in KL. And I was really impressed by the Singapore's government, where they actually set up nurseries and young education center for mothers at every office center. So the mothers can actually send the kids to the center community, which is like maybe within the same building. And I thought that was a wonderful way to support women who can actually contribute to the workforce, as well as be close enough with their children. And I actually see a lot of it happening now, as Noah was saying in around KLCC area. There are a lot of women leaders there, and there are a lot of centers that are being set up. And what I really enjoy was that a lot of corporation now allow young mothers to take a couple of months, and now it's become a policy which I think we need to celebrate. It took us a long time that, you know, women are allowed are given maternity leaves, 2 months right up to 3 months, and I think that is something that really need to be applauded. As young mothers, we know what it's like. The first month, you need to settle down with the kids, and to tear ourselves away after the first month to go back to work. For me, it was tormenting. It's like, I didn't want to go to work. I want to stay at home. But I love what I'm doing. And now with this extended maternity, and now we have paternal leave and paternity, where the father can actually join in to actually help support at the time when young children are needed the most support and nurturing. I thought that was really a fantastic policy. I have to say that I did leave a company that had no support for women.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't share their value. And at the point I needed to be home to attend to my son and
Li Chu, are you still there, or is it stuck?
for that. And I said,
Right, okay,
again, back to my mom. My mom did not raise me to be oppressed like that. And I would not allow my son to be a subject of that oppression or that discrimination. I wouldn't stand for it. I didn't have to fight for it. I knew it wasn't for me. I left, and
right.
blessing in disguise.
So totally, what I'm hearing is that the improvement and the increase of paid parental leave has really brought a change, and is really significant progress in the corporate environment, right? And I think Malaysia, in comparison to say Scandinavian countries, and even some countries in Europe, that they have extended between 6 to 12 months even for paid maternal leave, and of course the paternal leave as well. Yeah, so definitely that's a big step. So thank you, Li Chu. Marianne, what about you? What have you seen to be the biggest improvement throughout your career?
My children were all born in Luxembourg, so it's slightly different. And at that time, we found it very, very progressive that women could have an extended, what they call a parental leave after maternity leave. So that was 6 months after the maternity leave. So indeed, my first daughter went to the daycare when she was 9 months old. So I had quite some time to get used to that separation and to let her grow. Now, it's a bit paradoxal, but I think where the biggest progress was that when they allowed that parental leave to be granted to men too, because only at that time they realized what a struggle it is to spend 24 hours a day with a newborn for 6 months without support. And I can tell you that makes a huge difference. And what is amazing is that my husband took this parental leave for our second daughter, and he had to get some support. He had to go for meetings here and there, and he noticed that the quality of the relationship, the family cores, etc., have evolved from that. And what was interesting is that on his CV, on his resume, he highlighted that he has taken this 6-month parental leave, and it was always a subject for discussion and seen as something very progressive. It's not the case for women. It's probably something we hide.
Right. Suddenly there's a year that is missing from our CV, and we don't highlight it.
Well, they're very easy way, because you're still under employment, so you don't have to highlight it separately. In legal term, you still belong to that firm, so nobody would know.
I mean, I guess for women who actually do take a step, a year or two off,
Yeah.
right, and then when they want to re-enter the workforce, it's a challenge for them to explain why I wanted to take these 2 years off, and it is unfair if they're treated as a different candidate than a fresh graduate just because she took the 2 years off. So that's one of the challenges faced by mothers who want to excel both professionally and personally as well.
Yeah. Now, what I noticed as well is that it was more on the individual level that the support made a huge difference. The first time I announced that I was pregnant, I had a very understanding and intelligent partner to whom I report to, and he told me, Marianne, we're losing so many talented women that I want your pregnancy to be real success and your early maternity to be as well. So we will do anything we can so that you will be inspiring for others. So he asked me to take leave if I was tired. So he told me, I prefer that you take a half day off than that one day from one day to the other we have just no longer Marianne and we can't do anything. Then he told me, please review your workload. You look at every project you have, every client you work with, and if there's something that you can easily delegate, you do, because we will probably need to reduce your workload, and you're the best person to adjust and to know what's needed. And third, if there's anything, my door is open and I'll be here to support you. I don't want to hear anything that is not helping you in that sense. And really, that conversation, I just took 1 half day leave on the whole period. I just reduced my workload by 15%, not even. So that only conversation made me stay and wanted to stay for them and working for them, because I was so supported and felt so aligned. And my my next pregnancy, I had a person who had zero understanding, and I had to leave. There was no other option. And honestly, that was
similarly true. I mean, you can't stay if they don't share the same values, if they're not as supportive and you don't understand. So what I'm hearing is that sometimes it's not the tangible, the breastfeeding room or all these other facilities. It's actually your relationship with your superior, the culture at work. If they recognize that the challenges that come, the responsibilities that come with being a mother, and they offer you that flexibility, and that's perfect. You're more motivated to continue working at your optimum performance, right? You're eager to go back to work because you know that they understand at home you're also striving to be the best kind of mother. So thank you, Marianne, for sharing. I have the next question is for Melissa and Norbashinatun. Both Noor and Melissa are in the energy sector. Melissa is with Sapura Energy and Noor is with Petronas. And of course, these are conglomerates who are emphasizing sustainability, gender equality. I know that that's where both these companies are heading. So my question for Melissa is that how you're in HR yourself, right? Have you seen how have your views changed on making a corporate environment suitable for and more comfortable for women after being a working mother yourself? Are you trying to make a change in the little things or in the big things where you are?
So I think taking a step back, even from prior to my days in Sapura, like Marianne, my firstborn was actually in Europe. So in a funny way, I got to benefit that more mature setup where the workplace is actually quite open to the idea of women getting pregnant. The law is there to protect you and ensure that your jobs are there when you come back. So in a funny way, I benefited from it. And I think, the professional that I am today is heavily influenced by that kind of value system at that point in time. So I was that generation where paternal leave was actually only just introduced, so my husband could take it on. I would say I would be maybe that early generation of professional women that really saw the infrastructure improving for working mothers. So nursing rooms were in place, and all these positive changes were coming on. And the irony of my story is that I was given 6 months paid leave by my very, very, I would say, kind employers. But I'll tell you what, I chose to only take 4. And it was more that, as you said, being a mother is challenging. Now taking care of a newborn is in itself a very challenging choice. And in my case, I was lucky. Like Li Chu, like Marianne, I have a very strong mother in my background, and she basically flew from KL to London and said to me, "You're in a male-dominated environment. Don't let them replace you. I will take care of your child. And go back there, girl," was basically my mom's, in concise message to me. And I think, what I've never actually expressed to my mother was how empowering that was, that it is my decision to decide to take all 6 months. It is my decision to decide not to take all 6 months, because you know what, it's how I see it. It's nothing to do with societal expectations. So
Fully your choice.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what I want to highlight is actually that narrative, that despite the improvement in infrastructure, what has not yet moved as much is the narrative. And the narrative is, like I said, right, the construct. There's external and internal. Now, from an external standpoint, I would say, yes, infrastructure is there, but the same construct still applies. When a child is sick in school, do you think they call the fathers? If they don't know where the kid has to go at the bus bay because the transporter they have don't have the plate number, trust me, you do not call the daddies for that. And it's the societal expectations of how things are done. This is mommy's job. They don't care if mommy works. They don't care if mommy is the CEO. Where's the tea? You're the lady. In Marianne's story, the construct is still there, despite having a nursing room, despite having, a more kind of kinder maternity leave. The narrative has not yet shifted, right? And that's the truth. Now, so then the question is, what are we doing proactively
to change the narrative?
Yeah, exactly. So I think at the end of it, to drive bigger policy change, at the end of it, it's harder in big organizations because people want something tangible that they can see.
True. Everyone we want to measure. We always want to measure something, don't we?
Exactly. But I truly believe that at the end of it, as a mother, as a leader yourself, the narrative starts with you. And I'll give you an anecdote, right? I have a very strong team member of mine. His wife just recently gave birth. And funnily enough, when I sat him down to say congratulations, I sat him down to explain what it's like to be a young father, and that of his role to support his wife, who is recovering from postpartum depression, the realities of giving birth that people don't want to talk about, just highlighting to him that it's real, it happens to the best of women, and that it is his role to help. And it is his role to help the feeding, to understand the recovery process. And I think, like I said, that's my own small way of ensuring that he knows it is his duty to be part of that journey. And it's not just his wife's or, you know, the confinement lady, that he too has a very proactive role in it. So I think what I'm trying to say here is there is a need to shift that narrative as an employer, for one, to basically inculcate to fathers, working fathers, that, you know, if you are in a company with paternal leave policies, definitely embrace it because you have an active role. But even as a concerned boss, you do have a role to make them realize that it is their responsibility too, and they too can help their wives. So I would say shifting that narrative to ourselves not subscribe to the same stereotype is actually quite important. Then lastly, the point I want to talk about around that construct again is that personal expectations. So like I said, we now have a lot of support compared to women before, but quite frankly, even our own personal expectations of our role as a mother has not necessarily improved that much. I would say if I talk to a lot of my peers who are young mothers as well, literally that same construct of trying to be in every moment of the child's life when they are at work and trying to be the best that they can be is actually genuinely an almost impossible task.
Yeah,
right?
do you think we're too hard on ourselves in that regard?
Absolutely. I think there's a component where women themselves set this really high standards of what perfection looks like, when actually that perfection is already there. They are perfect mothers as it is, but they are just putting that extra gold standard on what a good mother looks like just for the sake of it. You know, I take breastfeeding example, right? I think this is an interesting point. Everyone talks about breastfeeding and how amazing it is, but
liquid gold, right?
what I found was that just assumes all women has breast milk. And
have the same privilege, and that's unfair to put it as a standard for motherhood. But I would like to hear from Li Chu and Marianne on this regard. I mean, were there a point in your professional life, in parallel with your parental life, that you have let go of these expectations to yourself, expectations that Melissa was talking about? Is there been a point that you're like, you know what, I'm gonna let go, I'm not gonna be as hard on myself as I was before? Have you gotten to that point? Yeah. When did it happen?
For me, it came at a point when, like Melissa was saying, you know, I needed to be perfect. I needed to be the best mom, and there was a lot of guilt. There was a lot of guilt, and it was really very heavy on me. And what happened was, I was reaching a point of almost a nervous breakdown. And also there was a point when I lost my mom.
Sorry to hear that.
It's also a point after I lost my mom.
I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sure she was an inspiration to you. I know that.
Yeah, and I said, you know, my mom was trying to be the perfect wife, the perfect mom, the perfect daughter, 24/7. I saw what happened to her life, and I said, you know what? It's a myth. It's a myth. I'm not going to do that to myself, and I'm not going to do that to my daughter. And so I found that when eventually I let go of that, of being perfect, it was liberating. And that was when I was inspired to support other women. I accept who I am. I want to be the best that I can be, but I really embrace who I'm not.
That's it.
It's like
that's the key.
I don't care.
Accepting.
I don't care who I'm not, accepting I'm not. And that, I realize, allows a space for someone else to actually bloom where they are, that I'm not. You know, and Mel was, as Mel, my partner, says, did you don't get someone to support you who's just like you. Get someone who is not like you. Get someone who is where you're weak. Get that person whose strength is your weakness. And really, like, I don't care. I don't care about being perfect. I don't care about who I accept who I'm not, and it's so liberating, and it frees. It's freedom.
And and when you are liberated, it shines through you, right? It shines from within, and then you can lead by example, and then your leadership style shines as well. So I want to ask Noor. You mentioned that your goal as a working mom is to be a leader by example, right? And that's in everything that you do every day. So what are the smaller things or the big things that you try to instill in your children at home that probably has benefited from what your experiences are at work?
Yes, Azurin. Sometimes I make joke of myself in front of them. As simple as that.
Self-deprecating humor?
Yes, I just want to tell them that we don't have to be perfect as an individual. So, same like what Li Chu has said. I learned a lot actually throughout the past. Touch the rock bottoms, we can say that. I learned a lot. But then from that experience, I always do reflections to myself. I have always the picture of my mom and the picture of my father. Both of them really create a good balance to me. Yeah, on how to treat myself on the first thing. So what I learned is practice moderation, and there is nothing perfect, but we are the one who make things perfect that suit ourselves. So I learned that so much in myself. And the one thing that I learned also is about how consistent or constant personal maintenance is very good tool for us to make sure that we always be in control and stay grounded. Okay, so I always challenge a bit my kids to take up a bit of challenges because this life is not easy. So I stretch them a bit, but I also teach them it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to fail a bit here and there for us to learn. Give room for ourselves to fall, for example. And then I show them, Mama also is not perfect. Yeah. Sometimes my daughter asks me, Mama, have you ever procrastinate? And then I said, yes. And then she was shocked. What, really? Are you really, you know what you are answering? Because I don't think you have ever procrastinate, because you're always busy doing this and that in front of my eyes. You never ever have time even to watch TV sometimes. And then I told her, yes, I did sometimes, but normally procrastination that I did ended up with regrets. Yeah. So I tell her, yes, we can do that, but the consequence will be like this. So I try to show them, yeah, it's okay to relax, yeah, to take it easy on yourself. Don't push yourself too hard. Okay, enjoy the moment that you have. So this is how I'm trying my best to portray or demonstrate some values that probably that I shared together with my children, but the values that I take maybe in my definition or in my way. Maybe they also share the same values, but in their ways. So as long as we respect each other on the same values, I'm fine with that. I'm open to that. Yeah. So this is from my point of view.
Thank you, Noor. I think that's leading by example, and it also echoes what Li Chu said, what Melissa said, even what Marianne said. I mean, you have to liberate yourself from these expectations, internal expectations that you probably inadvertently created for yourself, because you're so used to, excelling, so used to maintaining a level of success, but in this most vulnerable area of motherhood, of parenting, is where you actually need to let go the most and not be so perfect all the time. And we know our children will love us more for it, right? So before we wrap up, I mean, I wish we had all day to talk about this, because I feel like there's more to hear from each and every one of you. What I'm hearing from each of you sharing just now is that a great support system is key in ensuring that both can be conducted well, professionally and personally, and being a mother. A great support system is key, not only family, extended family members, but especially your partner. But we also don't want to discount single mothers who probably will benefit more from an extended support system beyond their non-existent partners. But support system, yes, number one. Change the narrative. Change the narrative of not only the mother is responsible for nurturing the child. I mean, the father is also the other parent, right? And of course, leadership by example and liberating yourself so that you'll feel happier inside and will shine through, and then the motherhood role will be carried out more naturally and organically, of course. Okay, so before we wrap up, we have a lot more questions to discuss, but I guess from all your sharing, we have touched around a lot of areas, both professional and personal. So I would like to invite each and every one of you to have like a closing statement, and has your insights changed after hearing from other panelists this morning? So maybe we'll start with Lee Chu. Any new sharings or new learnings from what we've heard in the past hour?
Yeah, thanks, Azreen. And thanks, Melissa, Marianne, and Noro for such a deep sharing. For me, I come away with, if there's anything I want to share with the women leaders out there is, first, you're not alone. Do not be afraid to reach out for support, because I think that is our biggest resource and asset. Reach out for support. Be okay with going to be the best that you can be and really embrace who you're not. And wherever we are, wherever we want to go, we can always start where we are today. Being present, start where we are today. And again, I can't stress enough, you are not alone. And it takes courage and a strong woman to reach out for help when we need it, because we know that when our friends and family needed it, we want them to reach out to us. Therefore, let's also be willing to reach out to others who can support and help us. Give them an opportunity to be a gift to us, because we are always willing to be a gift to someone else. Allow that someone that opportunity. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lee Chu. Yeah, you are not alone. We're not alone. We're here, 5 of us here, talking about sharing our experiences. And I think we are fortunate. We have, girlfriends, peers that are in the same boat, and it liberates you as well to talk about it, right? So Melissa, what's your closing statement on the matter?
I think it's very similar to Lee Chu's. I guess I think I want to make it cheeky, tongue-in-cheek in terms of how to remember it. I'm going to play on negatives, which is not my style normally. So I actually want people to realize that it's completely okay not to enjoy every aspect of motherhood. I think there's always this sense of denial that you have to love your child every second. You know what? It's not true. Just play on your strength. There are moments where you just can't stand them. That's why Netflix is there. But there are moments you make that, for yourselves and play on your strength. So I never watched.
It doesn't mean that you don't love them, right?
Exactly. I never watched Star Wars in my life. And I decided now that I have kids grown up enough to enjoy it, we made it our thing. And I'll tell you what, it's the best thing ever. So we're all Star Wars nuts together now. And every
That's
Lego
great.
set you can imagine is ours. So, like I said, play on your strength. Do what you enjoy as a mother. And it's okay not to enjoy every aspect. So that's number one. It is okay to ask for help, like Lee Chu was saying. I think there's this perception that you have to do everything and you have to be in charge of everything. You know what? I think husbands, if you're fortunate enough to have those understanding ones, they are probably the most untapped resource there is available to you. Just get them involved.
Untapped resource. You're talking like a HR professional.
Complete untapped resource. Because I would say they don't know that you need help. Men are strange like that. But if you just make it explicit and just say, you know what, I don't want to do the school run today. Can you do it? And if they say why, just say, you know what, because it's nice sometimes. Just say it. The silent expectations that they should read your mind does not work. It never worked for anybody. So ask for help. So I think having husbands playing that active part, and trust me, fathers have a very strange way of doing things. Suspend expectations. Just let them do what they do. and just enjoy the
It'll be
journey.
all right. It'll be all right at the end of the day.
So it's okay to ask for help is number 2 for me.
Yeah.
Number 3 is, again, that expectations of wanting to not miss any moment of your child's life. You have that FOMO, fear of missing out. And you know what? I think it's a crazy expectations, especially as a working mom. So my principle is be there when it matters. Just pick those important moments to you and your child, agree on those, and never break that promise. And that's just as good enough. And I would say that was how I grew up. My mom was a busy lady. And in fact, it's probably the reason why I've always aspired to be a busy lady myself. But I'll tell you what, she was there for, my prefectorial installation, you name it, every single event. She was there to send for my piano exams. She didn't cook my meals.
You cherish those moments all the same, don't you?
Absolutely.
Right?
She didn't cook my dinners. I don't have no memory of her cooking my dinners. She'll deny this, I think, if she was listening now. But I'll tell you, what I do cherish is the fact that she sent me for all my piano exams. And that's wonderful, right? And I think the other point that I want to make is a little bit more subtle, and something that I've just discovered is that don't make it a one-way street. A lot of mothers spend a lot of time getting to know their children, getting to know what they do in school, just really investing the time, but make it a two-way street. Open up, let your
tell them about you. Yeah.
Find out who you are. Tell them what you do. Tell them about your world. Because you know what? It's completely okay to tell them that you were angry today, that you were upset, that you were happy because of a certain achievement. And I find that conversation has been actually quite fulfilling for me as a person, beyond being a mother.
True.
I have a friend in my kids, and I think that letting them in is actually another untapped resource that is available to all mothers out there. Like Lee Chu said, our children are our beacon. And I think a lot of us forget that it's okay to show your sense of vulnerability, because that in itself is a learning point for our kids. So let them in. So if you love anything, let them try it out with you. You like cycling, let them try, let them fail, let them enjoy that journey. And I think it's something that we don't do enough. So just let them in.
Yeah, I think that's very important. Thank you, Melissa. And being vulnerable with your children is an underrated pleasure. I think they are learning more about you, how human you are. You know, so that they don't put you on a pedestal, and then once you disappoint them, then that will cause psychological issues to them as well. I mean, we're both learning here. We're both on our journey, right? So thank you for highlighting that and reminding us of that, Melissa. All right, Marianne.
So probably two things. The first, remember that a child needs to learn by themselves. So it's equally important that they learn with and without you as a mom. And the second is you are the captain of your life. You are the one who need to make choices. And whoever wants to deny that has absolutely no right. So your greatest vulnerability will also be your greatest strength. This is where you will tap into that that power and that strength. So be the one who make the choices that you want, because as a mother, you're absolutely entitled to.
And isn't that the most empowering thing, to be able to make your own choice and be proud of it, right? Thank you so much for the pearls of wisdom, Marianne. All right, let's hear from Noor. What's your last words?
Yeah, to me, maybe I can talk a bit on that. I mean, relating to this COVID-19 pandemic. In general, I think COVID-19 has hit women particularly hard, as school, daycare closures have meant that women have to take on the bulk of the childcare duties. And to be honest, as a working mother, I am part of the statistic. Indeed, I am doing way more at home with work, school, childcare now happening under one roof. Okay, during this pandemic, and I believe all the women out there, same like me. Maybe sometimes we worry that our performance is being judged negatively because of the caregiving responsibilities that we have to do at the same time. And maybe sometimes we have this question: if I step away from my virtual desk, if I miss a call, are they going to wonder where I am, for example? And then I feel that maybe I need to always be there and ready to respond instantly to whatever comes in. And if that's not happening, then that's going to reflect poorly on my performance, is it? So this kind of dilemma. So I learned also from this one socialist, Marianne Copper, in her journal, yeah, about mother's career at an extraordinary risk. Right now, she's saying that ideal worker is never be equivalent to good mother. They are always polar opposite. So ideal worker is an employee who is completely devoted to the job. Okay, but a good mother is a person who completely devoted to the family. Right. So ideologically, these two are incompatible. You can be one or the other, but there is no space to be both at the same time. So we have to create the balance. So I believe that with this, our society and the companies that we work with or the organization that we work with can help to nurture the right ambient, right environment for these women talents to grow within the limited space. Yeah. So that's how I learn, especially from this current situation in the pandemic. All right.
Thank you so much, Noah, for sharing. I mean, I too don't like hearing the fact that you can't be a good employee and be a good mother at the same time, and how impossible it is. Come on, it's possible. Look at all of you. Look at the female statistic in the population in the workforce, and the increasing number of female leaders, especially in corporate environments. I mean, we can do it too, provided we have all the support and the things that we've discussed throughout this panel session. And of course, I think also the importance of our partners, the untapped resource, as Melissa has highlighted just now, a big untapped resource, just us. And also, as Lee Chu and Marianne highlighted, don't be afraid to ask for help, for support. We are there for each other. That's women, especially, are there for each other, and we should be leveraging on this available support. So thank you so much again to our panelists. Thank you to Lee Chu, Marianne, Melissa, and Noor for your time and insights. It's been a pleasure of mine to moderate and engage and hear all these unique experiences from all of you. Unfortunately, we have to adjourn because of time constraints, but I hope we keep in touch, and I hope this is not the end of the Women Leaders Virtual Forum series. So on behalf of Christie Associates, we are proud to have our panelists for this exclusive forum. We have ongoing programs. Christie Associates have ongoing programs to support women leaders in their personal and leadership development. So for more information, please go to www.christieassociates.com for more information on their next programs. Again, thank you so much to Lee Chu, Melissa, Marianne, and Noor. We'll see you soon, and hopefully all of you stay safe and keep in touch. Goodbye. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye.